A young monk asked his teacher, "Why do we live together in the monastery? Why not just practice alone?" The teacher took him to the garden, where several candles were burning. He pointed to one candle standing apart from the others. "Watch," he said. A breeze came through, and the single candle flickered and nearly went out. But the candles grouped together, burned steadily, their flames protecting each other. "You become like the company you keep," the teacher said. "Alone, you're vulnerable to every wind. Together, you sustain each other's light." We like to think we're independent. We think who we are is entirely self-determined, shaped only by our own choices. But the truth is simpler and more humbling. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with. Their habits become your habits. Their language becomes your language. Their way of seeing the world slowly becomes yours. This isn't weakness. It's how human beings work. We're social creatures. We absorb what's around us, and the environment we place ourselves in shapes us more powerfully than almost anything else. The Buddhist teachings recognize this directly. One element of the Noble Eightfold Path is Kalyana Mittata, noble friendship or right association. The Buddha didn't teach this casually. He emphasized it repeatedly. The people you surround yourself with will determine the direction of your life. If you spend time with those who are wise, patient, and intentional, you'll move toward those qualities. If you surround yourself with those who are reactive, negative, or unconscious, you'll drift in that direction, no matter how strong your individual resolve. This isn't judgment, it's observation. When you're around people who complain constantly, you start complaining more. When you're around people who gossip, you start gossiping. When you're around people who avoid discomfort, you start avoiding it too. Not because you consciously choose to, but because behavior is contagious. Attitudes are contagious. Ways of being are contagious. And the reverse is also true. When you're around people who practice patience, you become more patient. When you're around people who face difficulty with courage, you find courage in yourself. When you're around people who speak carefully and listen deeply, you start doing the same. You don't have to force it. It happens naturally, through proximity, through repetition, through the quiet influence of shared presence. The Taoist principle of yin and yang teaches that everything influences everything else. You're not separate from your environment. You're part of it, and it's part of you. The water you swim in changes you, and if the water is stagnant, you stagnate. If it's flowing, you flow. If it's murky, you become unclear. If it's clean, you clarify. So the question becomes, are you choosing your environment consciously, or are you drifting into it by default, staying in spaces and relationships simply because they're familiar, even when they no longer serve you? Most people don't choose. They inherit their social circles from circumstance, family, school, work, proximity, and they never stop to ask, is this environment helping me become who I want to be? Or is it quietly pulling me in a different direction? This matters more than we admit, because willpower alone is not enough. You can have the best intentions, the clearest goals, the strongest commitment to change, but if you're surrounded by people who don't share those values, who mock your efforts, who drag you back into old patterns, you'll struggle. Not because you're weak, but because you're fighting against the current. And fighting the current is exhausting. But when you align your environment with your intentions, everything becomes easier. Not easy, but easier. You're no longer swimming upstream. You're in a current that supports you. The people around you reinforce the behaviors you're trying to cultivate. They remind you when you forget. They model what's possible. They hold the standard when you're tempted to lower it. In Zen practice, this is why Sangha, community, is considered one of the three jewels. Along with the Buddha and the Dharma, you can't walk the path alone. You need others who are walking it too, not because they're perfect, but because they're committed to the same direction. And that shared commitment creates a field of energy, a container that makes practice sustainable. This doesn't mean abandoning everyone who isn't spiritual enough, or cutting off family, or judging people for where they are. It means being honest about influence. Some relationships uplift you, some deplete you, some support your growth, some keep you stuck, and you have to decide. What environment do I want to live in? What kind of influence do I want shaping me daily? Because the influence is happening. Whether you acknowledge it or not, you're already being shaped by your environment. The only question is whether you're choosing that environment consciously or letting it choose you by default. So look around. Who are you spending your time with? What conversations are you having regularly? What energy are you absorbing? What behaviors are being normalized in your daily life? And then ask, is this moving me toward who I want to become, or away from it? If the answer is away, you have a choice. You can start shifting your environment gradually, intentionally. Spend more time with people who inspire you. Join communities aligned with your values. Reduce time in spaces that drain you. Seek out teachers, mentors, friends who are living in ways you respect. This isn't about perfection, it's about direction. And if you can't change your external environment completely, you can still curate what you consume, what you read, what you listen to, what you allow into your mental space. Environment isn't just physical, it's informational, energetic, relational, and you have more control over it than you think. The Buddha said, if you find a wise companion to walk with, who lives skillfully and soberly, walk with them joyfully, overcoming all dangers. And if you don't find that companion, then walk alone, like an elephant in the forest. But whenever possible, choose the company that lifts you, because you will become them, and they will become you. That's not a risk, that's an opportunity. The young monk understood. He looked at the candles burning together and chose to stay close to the flame. If you choose to follow this channel, it truly helps me keep creating and improving these reflections. And if not, that's completely okay. I'm grateful you spent this time here. I'll see you tomorrow in the next episode. Until then, I wish you a calm and peaceful day.